Today on the Dad the Best I Can show. You always think like everybody else has it figured out, but I assume your life's a complete circus shit show.
Oh,
right?
I'll tell you, that's one of the best things about my job is I get to see kids with families all the time. Because you always think that, like, God, no one else's kids only eat chips for breakfast. Or like, no one else's kids are this bad and have this kind of a meltdown. And then I see kids much worse all day long. I'm like, this is fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
Hey now, welcome to the Dad the Best I Can show. We're here to listen and learn from dads like you. I'm your host, Rob Roseman. I'm a dad to 3 kids. Got a 6-year-old boy, a 4-year-old boy, a 1-year-old girl. Woo! Wears me out just thinking about it. Let's get right to it. Today on the show, we are lucky to be joined by a good friend of mine, Marc Bromley. Marc is married to his wife, Katie. They have 3 kids, 8-year-old girl, 6-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old boy. Marc works for one of the biggest hotel chains in the world, which has moved him to several different cities with his family. Don't feel too bad for him. He's currently living in Maui, Hawaii. 2 fun facts about Marc. He is a self-proclaimed rap historian, and he is a diehard Michigan Wolverine fan. Let's do it. What's up, Marc? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Marc works for one of the nicest hotels in the world, but along with that, he's had to move his family around a lot to different cities. Tell us a little bit about that, Marc, and what your career and family life has been like.
Well, I'd say from a husband and father perspective, it's a must do. If you're adventurous and you like change and the values that it teaches your children at a very young age, which are hugely applicable later on in life, adaptability, the ability to fit in. I've found in life so much of work and life is about deal with it and figure it out. And there is no script for that. There's no class for that. There's no textbook for that. And when you move children at a young age, when they're not attached to relationships or emotionally attached to locations, they start developing skills to deal with it and figure it out, aka adapting to new situations, which are critical life skills. So I would say that predominantly try to do it when they're younger. When they get older, it becomes much more complicated, obviously, because the emotions are more mature and advanced. The fact that we've moved 6 times before before Nora, our oldest, has turned 8, sounds like staggering amount of moves, and it is, but it was a lot of work for us, but as adults, we could handle it. Now we'll probably slow down a bit and probably not too many more moves before they go to college.
Yeah, you don't want to upset those teenage girls, I hear.
I moved when I was 12 from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, to DC area, and it was a major shock to the system. So hopefully I can avoid that for the kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome, and I guess you got to have a supportive wife to roll with that too, right?
Yeah, and she's incredible. If typically, if we haven't moved within 18 months to 2 years, she comes tapping her wrist to me, said, "What's up? When are we going?"
Nice. Any advice you'd give to other dads and families out there when they're making these moves? We just made a move a year ago, but I'd like to hear one tip you'd tell people.
I think that division of responsibility, my wife is incredible of holding down and dialing in the home front, the movers, everything that it entails. It's really complicated when you go take a new job and you take take over a new team. If you're scattered and distracted on what's going on at home, it's impossible. So I would not do it unless your partner is all gung-ho about it, because otherwise it doesn't work.
Let's talk a little dad stuff. Dad Marc Bromley. It still is a little hard to believe, I'll be honest.
Yes,
but
I know. 8, 6, and 2.
Nice. So you're right up in it.
Totally. Hashtag in the weeds.
Yes, there's an infinite. Yeah. You always think like everybody else has it figured out, but I assume your life's a complete circus shit show.
Oh,
right?
I'll tell you, that's one of the best things about my job is I get to see kids with families all the time, because you always think that, like, God, no one else's kids only eat chips for breakfast. Or like, no one else's kids are this bad and have this kind of a meltdown. And then I see kids much worse all day long. I'm like, this is fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. Or I see my friends and I'll say, listen, disclaimer, I'm sorry. I know you're not in the mood to hear this, but I'm so glad to see your kids acting like shit.
Oh, right. It's the best.
Yeah, it is.
It's the best. I just walk around with, it is like the most blissful feeling when I'm either not with my kids and I'm watching kids freak out, or even on an airplane, it doesn't even faze me. I just look at them like, give them a little sympathy, but
Yeah, exactly.
It's not yours, not your problem.
Totally.
Right. Speaking of airplane vacations, you must be taking them. What do you think of taking vacations with your family?
Obviously you got to do them and make some memories and all that good stuff, because you certainly remember when, at our age, we remember the great vacations with our families. But man, when you're in the throes of it, especially, I always tell my wife, I said, listen, Katie, I got a really, really, really hard job, right? And then on the weekends, I got a doubly hard job. Right? You have the hardest job Monday to Friday, but then on the weekends, your job gets 50% easier because I'm around, because I'm there. So when do I get my break?
Wow.
It never really goes too well when I do say that, but when I get to my breaking point, that's what I have to throw out there to try
That's good. I've never heard it framed like that. That does make a lot of sense. The weekends are rough too.
Totally.
I mean, everybody's like 4-day weekend, and I'm like, what? Who are these people? This is insane.
I need my Monday to rest up for Saturday.
Right. I know. We look forward to Mondays.
Completely.
I always wonder, like, you never hear that from people. So that's kind of what these conversations are about. I'd like to hear other people tell me I'm not crazy.
No.
Right.
And it's. I mean, I do look forward to the weekends because I do love hanging with the kids, but I mean, it goes in waves of just like what. I mean, it's insanity.
You look at the clock on Saturday and it's like 1, and you're like, what? How are we gonna get to 8? This is crazy.
And you got to have activities, man. And like when Katie's out of town and I have the kids by myself, or she has one kid and I got 2. It always goes so much better because I'll plan it to the T. But when we're both there, we're both sort of subconsciously hoping the other one's got something up their sleeve. And when we don't, we look at each other like, what we got to get out of this house because it ain't going to happen all the way till bedtime.
That's so true. That's a great, also underrated thing that you don't hear people say. Sometimes, not all the time, it's easier with just you because you're always you're like, can you get them? You're sitting on the couch.
Right.
But it's on you. Like last night, I had all 3, and it was a complete shit show. But I was like, I knew I just had to get to bedtime, and I couldn't rely on somebody else. So
I joked with someone that I call it killing time, and she's like, "Well, or you mean enjoying your kids?" I'm like, no, it's killing time. We are killing time to nap time, and then killing time to bedtime.
Right.
and that goes in waves where it isn't killing time because they get easier and better. But there are definitely points in time where you are not thriving, you are surviving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's what I say all the time. How can my kids simultaneously being the most annoying kids ever, and of course you love them and you're having fun, but those are like within 3 seconds. I'm like annoyed as shit, pulling my hair out, and then they give you a hug and you're good, and then it's back to like whining about a video game. And,
yes. Well, have you ever heard about the peanut butter rule?
No, tell me.
Because inevitably there will be a cuss word or 2 that comes out of your mouth as a parent. And you do, so I got to give a shout out to my buddy Luke Mateau if he ever listens to the podcast. This is his nugget, but he said if you cuss, something slips out of your mouth, you just say peanut butter immediately, and it's like that thing in Men in Black where you flash it in front of their eyes and like everything, their memory disappears. The kids, you drop an F-bomb and peanut butter, and they just like look around like, what just happened? Peanut butter. And they completely, I'll never forget Nora. It was a year and a half ago, so she's clearly old enough to remember and hear and register. And I drop an F-bomb about something, and her eyes light up and look at me like, and I just go, peanut butter. And it's like, it's fucking brilliant, man.
Really?
Peanut butter.
Wow. And it's still going with it?
Brilliant. Yeah. Now, it doesn't work because 2 nights ago, I dropped an F-bomb in front of Bo, and I said something about fuck that. And my lady goes, fuck that. so that didn't work so much because peanut butter doesn't register with him yet. But so I think I may have taught him.
I've heard something similar when you're driving on a road trip. Like when the kids are whining, you just throw out oh, look out your window, there's a deer. and like it just kind of freezes them and it throws them out of there. Like you just got to like change it up a little.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what doesn't work for me, because if Georgia, my middle kid, doesn't see what you're pointing out, where? I want to see it. Where? I want to see it. Where's the deer? Where's the deer?
Backfires.
It quickly devolves into a complete meltdown.
All these disclaimer, these rules barely work, but we got to try. We're willing to try anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's take a quick break to talk about our dad tip of the week for you, brought to you by Kickstart Reading. At Kickstart Reading, you can watch 2-minute videos that teach your kid how to read. This is how I taught my 5-year-old going into kindergarten how to read, and now my 4-year-old in pre-K is learning to read with these videos now too. Best part? 2 minutes. What dad doesn't have time for 2 minutes? Come on, guys. Go to kickstartreading.com and use the code DADTHEBEST to get your first month free. That's kickstartreading.com. All right, Mark. So on the Dad the Best I Can show, we like to give a dad tip of the week. And since you are so full of dad wisdom, I want you to take this one today. What do you got for us today, Mark?
Well, it's a bummer I didn't figure this out earlier on in my dadhood, if you will, but splitting the weekends, right? In terms of who gets up early. That was one of the toughest things about being a parent, is there hell hath no fury like a 5:30 a.m. wake-up call after a night of going out or a couple glasses of wine on the couch. And we figured out, I don't know, probably a little too far into our second child, that let's split the weekends. So Saturday morning, my wife sleeps in, and I get up at first crack whenever they start rustling, and close the door and make sure we're quiet, maybe even take them out for breakfast. And so she gets that morning, and then I get the next one, and man, is it a godsend. I
like it. I'm going to implement that this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, man.
We're back to talking sports. I'm going to give you some questions, since I know, as much as you say, you don't follow anymore. It's in your blood. So.
Yes.
All right. Football.
Yes.
Dan Marino or Steve Young?
I mean, dude, I've been having the Dan Marino versus Joe Montana conversation since the 80s, because my best friend is a Marino fanatic. Marino's got no rings. End of story. You're a quarterback.
Dan Marino or rings. Steve Young? Who do you have?
Steve Young.
All right. We'll give you that if you want it. That's insane, but we'll take it. All right.
Dolphins fan speaking to me here.
That's true. Steve Young or Joe Montana?
Joe Montana.
All right. Now, here's the big one. You ready?
Yes.
Calm down. Okay?
Yes.
Joe Montana or Tom Brady?
Ooh.
Man, this is going to leave you sleepless tonight, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady.
Wow.
Because he's got more rings. He went to Michigan. I carried him on our AYSO team back in the early 80s.
What? You guys played together?
We were in we weren't the same team, so I actually beat him.
You know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy?
I've got the yearbook to prove it.
Oh, wow. Send me that picture.
When we were at school together in Michigan, he's from San Mateo and so am I, so we had a lot of the same friends. I left San Mateo when I was in 6th grade. He stayed there through high school. And so the name game would happen, right? And we'd realize, oh my God, we know a lot of the same people.
Wow.
So basically, I'm best friends with Tom Brady.
Did you? I mean, obviously he didn't go till whatever the 5th round. Did you think that he could do this when he was at Michigan or when he was in 6th grade? Did you think?
Those years are real fuzzy for me, so I don't know what I thought back then.
Right. But in 5th grade, you knew you could take him, and that's all.
I knew my soccer team smoked his. So right. I'm also basically a better athlete than Tom Brady.
He's a one sport guy. I mean,
completely.
What can you do?
Completely.
Right. Yeah. Next question. What is the most valuable baseball card you ever owned?
Ricky Henderson rookie, still is. It's actually more valuable than the Honus Wagner tobacco card, because Ricky Henderson is the greatest baseball player to walk the planet. Easy.
Really?
Next.
That is a bold statement.
Brad Shapiro, if you're listening, I know you agree.
Ricky Henderson, doesn't he? Is he the one with the story where he has his paycheck taped on his wall? Is that Ricky?
I think that, yeah. He's also got the story that when he was watching John Olerud play, mentioned, man, that guy's good. Who is that guy? Why does he wear the helmet? And he actually played on the same team with him, which I'm not sure is a true story, but it certainly sounds like Ricky. So
he did. He had a lot of tools. He was a fantasy legend. That guy.
The guy was great. With
One
fantasy,
more.
God, I wish I did fantasy back when he was playing. You're right.
Man, he was a $40 all-star.
Yeah.
Could not stop him, did everything. Best live sporting event you ever attended?
That's a tough one. So, went to a lot of them, actually. I'd say the best one for me, memory-wise, was the Michigan Rose Bowl in '97. I'd say maybe in terms of importance and just kind of like pageantry and interest was no. You know what? It was the Michigan Ohio State game in '97, the year we went to the Rose Bowl to win the championship. That was epic. The stadium was so full that when when everyone started losing their mind cheering for a good play, you would leave your feet, but you couldn't fall because it was so full that you would just kind of glide. And we rushed the field. We took turf home. I think the turf is still in the refrigerator at that house that we lived in at 1101 Church. We had more turf in our fridge than we had edible food that year.
They let you on the field after?
They didn't let us.
You rushed it?
Yeah, we rushed it. It was great.
Man, I always see that on TV, and whenever I go to a game, they got policemen and horses like barricading off.
Well, they had cops. You just had to, be quick on the feet. Yeah. Again, hence why I'm a better athlete than Tom Brady.
Yeah, and you definitely didn't have the same brain cells back then either. So no, you're going for it.
Might not have been sober.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that actually is better. And sometimes those games are better than like the national championship games, right?
Totally. And anytime you get to beat Ohio State, which I have no idea what that feeling is like anymore. But yeah, it was. But we went. I was fortunate because my dad had a lot of contacts, so we went to the gold medal hoops game, U.S. basketball in Atlanta. Went to I went to the Niners Super Bowl when we smoked the Chargers. That was pretty fun. When we had Dion and Ricky Waters and Steve Young. Wow. Yeah, so that was in Miami, actually. It was great.
You've seen a lot of good games. There's nothing but, a lot of games are duds, but you always remember the ones that you attend.
Totally.
I saw at the Swamp, I transferred out of Michigan right after they won. No, before they won.
So it was a combination of me leading the team and you leaving and not unjinxing the team that made it all happen.
Exactly. I also I'll take a lot of credit for it. Yes. Congratulations. But I saw the Gators in the Swamp play number 1 Florida State at night. And I actually think I even bet against the Gators and because it was the best team ever, Florida State. They had Peter Warrick.
Was that the Charlie Ward team?
I don't think it was Ward. It might have been
Cannell?
I don't know. Who's the old guy that was 32 playing quarterback there?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But anyways, Florida State's a touchdown favorite at the Swamp at night, and Florida ends up upsetting them in a back and forth, 10 back and forths in the fourth quarter. Yeah. I've never ever heard a louder state. Michigan. One thing you can say about it, it's big, but it doesn't have that. It's kind of a flat stadium, so it doesn't have that same. But this place, you could not even hear yourself think. And I've never been so happy to lose money. My buddy Jeff Mackler and I went. And we both bet against the Gators, and by the end of the game, we were deliriously, you're going crazy for them. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, always remember that one.
Chris Wenke.
Where is he now?
Was he the white dude? The white dude?
That is him. Yeah. Wasn't he 29 in college?
Yeah, I feel like he was.
Yeah, they had some nasty players.
I had to Google it, otherwise it would have kept me up at night.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. Me too. Isn't that funny? Remember those days where you couldn't Google it?
Oh God, there's never any you can never bet on an argument anymore because it's completely won within seconds.
Kind of sad. I kind of miss those days
when you can just bet on a conversation.
Thank you guys for listening to the Dad the Best I Can show. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Actually, 5 stars. We could do better than that. Brooks? Infinity stars. Cameron? How many stars? Infinity 1,000. You got to one-up them in this household. Thanks. See ya. Thanks again to our sponsor, Kickstart Reading. At Kickstart Reading, you can watch 2-minute videos with your kid that teach them how to read. It really is that simple. I taught my kid how to read with these videos, and now you can too. Go to kickstartreading.com and use the code DADTHEBEST to get your first month free. kickstartreading.com.